As a real estate developer, you're the hero of your own story. Thoughtful, daring, decisive, carefully crafting and honing your projects, deftly managing teams of stakeholders, boldly watching YouTube videos about how to improve your real estate practices. Of course, if you've seen some of the other videos in this series, you're well aware that real estate developers are not exactly the heroes of urban development stories. That might seem obvious, but consider this. Villains can't exist without heroes. In this case, the heroic neighborhood residents battling us at every turn. Clearly, these stories have a lot to teach audiences about how to see real estate developers, but they're also teaching people how to see themselves as the unlikely heroes in a fight between good and evil. If we're really serious about improving our practices and our outcomes, we should be trying to learn those lessons too. So, what kind of stories are these movies helping people tell about themselves and their communities? Let's roll the tape and find out.
I can't speak a voice. Only thing is we're gonna need more voices. You know, a lot more.
Yeah, well, that shouldn't be a problem, man. We got a lot of folks around here that like to be heard.
That's so true. Yeah, we got some work to do.
We're going to go out on a limb and say something controversial here. Ready? Here it comes. People like stories with interesting characters. Shocking, right? But it's true. It's even truer when those interesting characters are likable protagonists up against impossible odds. And truer still if they're a little odd themselves. In other words, people love to root for the ragtag band of misfits duking it out with some dastardly, hateable foe. You see these stories all the time, from epics like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings to classics like The Dirty Dozen and The Magnificent Seven, and in countless developer flicks too, like The Blues Brothers, The Goonies, and The Muppets. It's a prolific trope because it makes for great, engaging storytelling. There's just one little problem. Unfortunately, most people will never get to live out the dream of blowing up the Death Star or defeating the Dark Lord Sauron. There just aren't as many opportunities for a gang of lovable misfits to take down the very incarnation of evil anymore. With one exception, that is. Clashing with an evil developer and preventing them from ruining the neighborhood just might be the closest your average theater goer will come to living out this kind of heroic story. And these evil developer films provide an exciting and inspiring blueprint for how to do just that.
Let those people walk away with everything. I mean, if we give in to those people, we're giving in to all the cute and fuzzy bunnies in the world.
Yeah, that's just what I was thinking.
What I mean is that we can't give up. Gotta think of a plan.
Plan. Without a plan, there's no attack. Without attack, no victory.
Where have I heard that before?
A plan? Oh, boy, I've got a plan.
Aki's got a plan. What is it?
The regatta.
To understand why and how this trope resonates with audiences, let's break down what's really happening here. In the first place, audiences are drawn to the ragtag misfits in large part because they're inclusive, diverse demographics, unique personalities, so there's plenty of room for people to think, I can see myself here, a stark contrast to the developer and their ultra-homogeneous cronies, who typically feel about as relatable as a phone bill. Aside from feeling inviting, these groups' hodgepodge makeup also serves to show how vibrant the existing community is, highlighting the threat posed by the developer, who'd like nothing more than to wipe it off the map. Those two things combine to create a strong sense of purpose, because people have a group to belong to and a thing to fight for. And to top it all off, these movies show people who don't seem that different from the audience, in plausible situations, fighting against developers, and winning. The message to the audience is clear. Not only can you pull this off, but you'll feel good and make friends while doing it. Of course, not every movie community is cohesive, cooperative, and ready to destroy your business. There are plenty of cases where local conflict has community members at each other's throats. But in every film where this is the case, the threat posed by the developer proves stronger than their petty disagreements and actually winds up turning into an opportunity for them to reconcile their differences and come together to fight against progress. This often involves getting the band back together, or getting the band of bears back together, or some similarly wholesome plot. But don't let the friendly animals fool you. This dynamic can be all too real. With subpar outreach strategies, real estate developers often give individual opponents the perfect invitation to meet and form alliances with like-minded neighbors.
It's the people. And once you lose the people, we lose the neighborhood. So if I had to say, I would deny quality land development's proposal to tear up 79th because it just ain't working.
What should a real estate developer take away here? For one thing, don't try to counter the community by casting yourself as the hero in your own story. It can be tempting for us to think of ourselves and our colleagues as a bold crew of entrepreneurs fighting against the forces of ignorance and self-interest. But that mindset really isn't going to help you win support. Instead, remember that the community doesn't just consist of its loudest voices, the self-appointed ragtag protectors of the neighborhood. There's typically a broad range of local perspectives on a real estate development project, from opposition to ambivalence to support. That's right, support. And by activating that support, a real estate developer has the chance to rewrite the story. It doesn't have to be one where a band of heroes team up against a villain, but could instead focus on what people can do together as partners in the future of the community. So, what about you? Are you letting your most ardent opponents cast themselves as the ragtag heroes in the story of your project? Check out The Secret Formula to learn how you could take charge of the narrative. Unless you're already happy with the way the story ends,